Ever wondered why he didn't respond to your text? Or why he seemed distant at dinner last night? It's a puzzle, isn't it? And not the fun kind, with vibrant, interlocking pieces you can put together on a rainy Sunday. This is the kind of puzzle that keeps you up at night, making you question every word you said, every glance you shared, and every emotion you felt. It's like being stuck in a maze with no evident exit, where every turn seems to lead you deeper into confusion. You're not alone in this labyrinth, ladies. Many of you have been there, trying to decipher this mysterious code of silence. Yes, we're talking about the all too common phenomenon of men ignoring women. Now, it's important to remember that this isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. People are complex creatures, each with their own set of experiences, emotions, and perspectives. And while we can't provide a universal decoder ring to solve every enigma, we can certainly try to shed some light on the subject. So, why does this happen? Why does a man who seemed interested suddenly become distant? Well, there are several reasons, each as unique as the individuals involved. It could be due to stress, lack of emotional maturity, or even fear of commitment. But the key is not to jump to conclusions. Here's the thing. We often fill in the blanks with our own fears and insecurities when we don't understand someone's behavior. We become our own worst enemies, creating narratives that may not even exist. So, let's take a step back and approach this puzzle with a fresh perspective, shall we? Understanding why this happens is the first step towards a solution. Let's dive deeper. Don't worry, you're not alone in this journey. We're here to offer insights, strategies, and perhaps a few laughs along the way. Together, we'll navigate this maze, one step at a time. Did you know that men's brains are wired differently from women's? It's a fascinating truth, backed by science, and it can shed light on why it sometimes feels like a man is ignoring you. Let's delve into the world of psychology to better understand this. Men and women process emotions differently. For example, when men are under stress or dealing with emotional turmoil, they tend to retreat into their mental cave. This is a quiet space where they can process their emotions and work through the stress. It's not that they're ignoring you or that they don't care about your feelings. Instead, they're trying to handle their own emotions in the way that works best for them. This retreat can be misinterpreted as ignorance, especially if you're used to a more expressive way of dealing with emotions. You see, women typically process emotions in a more outward, expressive way. We talk, we share, we seek comfort and reassurance from others. Now, imagine this scenario. A woman is trying to connect with a man who is dealing with stress. She's reaching out, trying to communicate, but he's retreated into his mental cave. From her perspective, he's ignoring her. From his perspective, he's just dealing with his stress in the only way he knows how. This gender difference in emotional processing is just one piece of the puzzle. In fact, there are several other psychological differences between men and women that can contribute to this feeling of being ignored. For example, men tend to be more focused on solving problems, while women often prioritize emotional connection. If a man is focused on a problem, he might seem distant or unresponsive, even if he doesn't mean to be. So, when it feels like a man is ignoring you, it might not be a deliberate act of dismissiveness. Instead, it could be a manifestation of his unique psychological makeup. Remember, understanding these differences can be a powerful tool in fostering better communication and deeper connections. So he's not necessarily ignoring you, it's just how his brain works. Fear. It's a powerful emotion, isn't it? It can be a driving force, a catalyst for change, or a paralyzing agent. When it comes to relationships, fear can often be the invisible wall that separates two people from truly connecting. One of the reasons a man might ignore a woman is due to fear. Fear can take on many forms in a relationship. It could be the fear of commitment, fear of vulnerability, or even the fear of not being good enough. Let's first look at the fear of commitment. Sometimes, a man might be scared of the idea of being tied down. The thought of forever can be daunting, leading to a retreat into silence. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that the prospect of a long-term relationship can be intimidating, causing him to pull back. Next, the fear of vulnerability, opening up, showing emotions, being truly seen by another person can be terrifying for some. It's a fear of being judged, of being rejected for who they truly are. When a man is scared of being vulnerable, he might choose to ignore a woman as a defense mechanism to protect himself from potential hurt. Lastly, the fear of not being good enough. It's a fear that is deeply rooted in self-doubt and low self-esteem. A man who feels like he's not good enough might ignore a woman because he feels like he doesn't measure up, that he can't offer her what she deserves. The psychology behind these fears is complex. They stem from past experiences, societal pressures, and internal battles. It's important to remember, however, that these fears are about him, not you. If a man is ignoring you because of his fears, it's his battle to fight, his demons to conquer. So, the next time you find yourself being ignored, remember, it's not about you, it's about him and his fears. Understanding this can help you navigate the situation with empathy and patience, and perhaps help him overcome his fears in the process. Communication. It's the key to understanding, isn't it? It's the bridge that connects minds. The tool we use to express our thoughts, feelings, and desires. But what happens when that bridge seems to be collapsing? When the tool appears to be failing? When a man seems to be ignoring you? It's easy to feel frustrated, to let the silence consume you. But remember, communication isn't just about talking. It's about listening, understanding, and responding. It's about creating a safe space for open and honest conversations. So, what can you do when faced with this situation? First, take a step back. Give him space. Sometimes, people retreat into their shells when they're dealing with something. It doesn't necessarily mean they're ignoring you. They might just need some time to process their thoughts. Once you've given him some room, approach the situation calmly. Express your feelings without casting blame. Use I statements instead of you statements. For instance, say, I feel ignored when you don't respond to my messages, rather than you always ignore my messages. This way, you're not pointing fingers, but merely expressing how his actions impact you. Remember, your feelings are valid, and you have every right to express them. However, it's crucial to do so in a way that fosters understanding rather than escalating conflict. Show empathy towards his feelings too, and be patient. Change doesn't happen overnight. And understanding requires time. Communication is as much about timing as it is about the words we use. It's about expressing ourselves authentically, listening actively, and responding empathetically. It's about building bridges, not walls. It's about understanding and being understood. So, the next time you feel like a man is ignoring you, remember, communication is your friend. Use it wisely, use it well, and you can navigate through the silence. With the right approach, you can break through the silence. So, we've covered a lot today, haven't we? We've delved into the puzzle of why men might seem to ignore you. explored the psychology that drives their actions, and even touch upon the role of fear in inducing such behavior. Let's quickly recap the key points. We started off by unraveling the ignorance puzzle, discussing how sometimes what appears as ignoring could simply be a misunderstanding or miscommunication. We then dove into the psychology behind such actions, discussing how societal expectations and personal insecurities can often lead men to retreat into themselves, which can come across as ignoring. We also discussed the fear factor, where the fear of vulnerability, commitment, or rejection can result in a man distancing himself from you. And finally, we highlighted the importance of communication. It's not just about talking, but listening, understanding, and responding with empathy. Now, let's talk about what you can do moving forward. First, practice patience. Remember, everyone has their own pace of opening up and expressing their feelings. It's important to give space and time for the other person to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts with you. Next, work on your communication skills, both verbal and nonverbal. Express your feelings openly, but also listen attentively to what the other person is saying. Nonverbal cues, like body language, can often tell you more than words. Thirdly, don't take a man's silence personally. It's not always about you. Sometimes they might be dealing with their own issues and need some time to process their thoughts. And finally, don't be afraid to seek professional help if you feel stuck. Sometimes, an outside perspective can provide valuable insights and strategies to improve your relationships. Remember, understanding is not just about knowing what's happening, but also why it's happening. By understanding the reasons behind a man's actions, you can better navigate your relationships and build stronger, more meaningful connections. Remember, understanding is the first step to change. You got this.